Hi again, guys. We're gonna do another movie review for Disney movies. This time it's gonna be Strange World. It's a newer Disney movie. It just came out last year. So yeah, let's get to it. Do apologize, my voice is a little hoarse. I'm getting over a cold. But I don't want to prolong making videos any longer. So I'm going to just let you know the synopsis. A legendary family of explorers, the Clades, attempt to navigate the uncharted, treacherous land. I saw this movie poster. We went to go see Black Panther back in November, and I saw the movie poster on the wall in the hallways while we were waiting to go inside the theater because it wasn't quite clean yet. And yeah, I was like, oh cool, a new Disney movie. Mind you, I hadn't seen the trailer, so I had no idea what it was about. It looked kind of cool when I looked at the posters, kind of funky. But yeah, I was excited to see it. I did end up watching it in January of this year, so about 2 months after it was released, with my family. We did it as like a family movie night. I was pleasantly shocked. It's not one of my favorite movies, but we will get into the review. So let's dive in. So the cast of this movie is actually a fairly known cast of actors and actresses. So I'm really surprised that this movie didn't do as well as it did. Especially like we weren't a huge fan of it. Even my kids weren't really interested in a whole lot. Like there was parts that they were really interested, but then there was parts where they were like, meh, I could do without. So we have Jake Gyllenhaal, he plays Searcher Clade, and we have Dennis Quaid, he plays Searcher Clade's dad, who's Yeager Clade, and then we have Jaboukie Young, who is Ethan Clade, Gabrielle Union is Meridian Clade, and Lucy Liu is Callisto Mal, and Karen Soni is Caspian. Alan Tudyk is the narrator / radio host / Duffel. And then the music is by Henry Jackman. So basically the whole point of this movie is it's a father and son. You know, this father is a huge adventure searcher. The whole town just loves him because he finds all these new things and loves exploring. And he's introduces his son to this. So eventually as they get older, you know, they are trying to search for land beyond the mountains. And while they're on this exploration, the son Searcher finds this plant. And he realizes that it has electricity. Which I'm assuming, you know, watching the whole movie, I should say, that's what the town is really wanting, is something new, something innovative. So Searcher finds this plant. The dad's not having it. He just wants to still see what's beyond the mountains. So he kind of leaves and kind of abandons Searcher. So Searcher takes this plant and goes with it. He brings it to the town. 25 years later passes, and you see that the son is a farmer. He is farming this plant that he found on his exploration with his father. But something's happening with these plants. They're realizing that the little bulbs on the plants that produce the electricity that they put in their cars and their houses and all of that, they're not lasting as long. So then we introduce Meridian Clade. She ends up coming to Searcher and saying that, you know, something's interrupting these plants from producing as much electricity as possible. So they decide to go on an exploration to find out why these plants are dying. So, you know, Searcher Clade really is not an explorer. He really hated it. He hated doing it with his dad. So he's really not keen about this new adventure. His son, however, loves it. So this movie was released in November 23rd of 2022. The studio that brought us Big Hero 6 as well as Encanto also made this movie, which I was actually shocked that this movie wasn't that great, just because I thought personally Big Hero 6 and Encanto did really well. I thoroughly enjoyed them. Big Hero 6 I thought was funny with Baymax, and Encanto I thought had really great music. But those will be reviews for a future. I would rate this movie probably like a 5 out of 10. Thought it was alright. It reminded me a lot of other movies out there. Didn't feel like it was a unique story or anything, in my opinion. This movie focused a lot about the environment and how we're all connected, which I think is a very important thing for us to learn, given the state of the world that we're in these days. I was hoping for a more, like, unique story plot. It kind of gave me vibes of a lot of other movies that I'd seen out there. It did have an action-adventure feel to it, and there were some parts that did make me chuckle a little bit. A couple characters that were fairly funny. When it comes to Disney movies, especially ones made recently, I try to gauge off my kids' reactions to them, to see if they're super enthusiastic about it and whatnot, because, I mean, like, I personally have always loved Disney. I don't know. There's some out there that aren't that great, and then there's some that are good. But yeah, I try to go off my kids' reactions because, I mean, they're the new generation that's going to be watching all the Disney content that's now being put out there. My husband did mention during the movie that it gave like a Journey to the Center of the Earth type of vibe, which I would have to agree with. It also reminded me a lot of that movie Osmosis Jones. I know it's not a Disney one, but just the way that it was and how they, you know, the world that they went into, it was very, yeah, like, just different creatures and whatnot, but when you actually realize, like, what it is, it makes sense. And I did have a hunch as to where the movie was heading, like, which way, like, it wasn't really a surprise to me, like, I wasn't like, oh my gosh, I did not expect that at all, like, and I think it's maybe because it did give me those vibes of other movies that I've seen that are very similar. When I did my research on this movie, for other reviews, it was horrible. Like, I didn't think that it did that horrible, but it did. It seems like a lot of people thought the same thing as me, that it wasn't really unique. You know, it's a plot that they've seen in several different times when watching movies, and it wasn't that, you know, creative, out-of-the-box thinking. So a lot of reviews had the same opinion as me when I did research this. The movie did bomb in the box office over the American Thanksgiving weekend. It was expected to earn about 30 to 40 million. However, it only brought in 11.9 million over the weekend and 18.6 million over the 5-day holiday time frame, which makes this one of Disney's worst opening weekends in modern day history. So there's actually a quote here from David A. Gross, I'm not sure how he pronounces it, but it says, "This is a weak opening by Disney animation standards. At a cost of 180 million plus marketing expenses, the film will finish in the red." He runs the movie consulting firm Franchise Entertainment Research. The movie didn't do well overseas either, as it only made 9.2 million from 43 markets. Like most Hollywood films, it did not play in China or Russia, two major international markets due to geopolitical tensions. So beyond that, Disney opted to not submit this movie to several smaller markets, including the entire Middle East, Malaysia, and Indonesia, because of the LGBTQIA+ references in the film. This was because those countries would cut out any of those references, and Disney wasn't willing to cut out part of their movie to meet those countries' guidelines. Overall, this wasn't a movie that I found to be overly creative, like I said before. I feel like it was a plot line that I've seen before, numerous occasions. I was excited to see it. You know, when I saw the movie poster before waiting for Black Panther, I was like, yay, another Disney animation film, but I was really disappointed in what happened with it, and I was really underwhelmed. I wouldn't be surprised if newer Disney movies won't do well at the box office, though, as Disney has been releasing their own movies on Disney+. Sometimes it's released right away, or sometimes it is shortly after the movie has been released in theaters. I know that this was a recent decision. It was due to the pandemic that happened a couple years ago, and it seems to have changed the way that we view new movie releases now. So who knows? I mean, maybe this is a new era of, going to the movie theater will be a thing of the past. I hope it's not, because, as a kid, it was always a fun time for me, getting to enjoy the popcorn and the candy and sitting in the theater with your friends and family and, just getting out of the house and having a different experience. But who knows? I mean, we could be approaching a new era of movie watching. It does make me sad because, I mean, I remember, like I said, I remember as a kid, I went to the movies and I saw this, and, I remember even in, like, my teens and my early 20s, like, when Harry Potter and all that was the rage, I was so excited to see them in theaters. So who knows? I mean, who knows what the new era will bring. Sometimes things change due to circumstantial situations, and it could bring that new movie watching experience through. Well, that's it for me today. It's a short review, just because I wasn't a huge fan of this movie, like I said before. So I didn't really have a lot to say about it, because, I mean, it is what it is. I do look forward to providing more Disney content for you guys, more Disney reviews. Summer is fast approaching. We're now in spring where I am, because I'm in Canada. So soon there'll be lots of outdoor adventures. We're hoping to do a few things this summer, so hopefully I'll have some new content with that as well. I hope you enjoyed this review. I know there's not much to be said, because it seems like everybody around the world did not like this movie. This is Crystal, signing off. See you guys later.